Well, it's a typical Sunday here at the Canners. The Bears are playing the Packers, and I'm sitting here getting ready to do yet another video post for you guys. We're going to first start off talking about triangulating and connecting all these different things together, and ultimately what we're going to discuss are timelines, identity layers, and digital lifestyle aggregators. Okay? So the point here is that Facebook and Google Plus are really doing the same thing, but each of them are doing it differently. It's the profile page, right? What they have in common is activity streams, which is great because they are open standard, right? So we can all adhere to the activity stream standard. And then hopefully what will happen is that the Google Plus layer will become, and all those apps and services will be complemented by, again, state-of-the-art, very coolio kind of timeline stuff that Facebook is doing. That wouldn't be awesome that we could actually all work together? Okay, so that's the topic of today's post. Now to dive into details. First things first, we can all share a common activity stream where you control what gets displayed into this activity stream. This can include Twitter, Google+, and Facebook, and any other kind of RSS feeds or things you want to put into this stream. You control what your activity stream is. It's a public standard. That's first. My profile page is my identity. It's my personal dashboard on my digital lifestyle. Whether it's Facebook or Google, we, the users, need to control their dashboards. Customizing it and controlling it is a key aspect of our life. Okay, to start off, let's go over what all the basic data types are that are in these systems, which we sometimes call social networking environments, okay? You want to store your media, which are your photos and your videos and your documents and files, and you want to have blogging or writing notes or expressing yourself or tweeting or some kind of posting capabilities. You want to have a record and be able to keep track of all the comments you've done and the reviews you've written and the ratings that you've assigned and the testimonials. These are all the kinds of activities that we do in these networks. And we have the basic abilities to have groups, right? And to organize ourselves as clusters of humans together. These are all the basics of social networking. You're going to find that both Google and Facebook are going to have both these capabilities. That's part of our open standards we need to have. Obviously, what's most important about social networks is you, the user, and me, and our relationship together, and a grid of faces that we call our friends or our groups. This is the essence of a social environment, where we can see the faces of our users. And this is why whether or not they're anonymous or not and who they are is so important. Because I could put up Humphrey Bogart, and you think that I'm Humphrey Bogart. Now we can see why the battle over the user is really the battle over the dashboard. Once we can control what we see, our customized environment is what's going to make us in control of our digital lifestyles, okay? So that whether it's a profile page, a timeline, this or that, I want to have my own network. That's at the essence what the diaspora kids are talking about. But what we have to do is make it realistic, where we work with Facebook and Google, that we're compatible, and that Salesforce ties in, and Oracle, and Microsoft, and the Skype namespace. These are all the different aspects of our social world. Yelp, Craigslist, Amazon, eBay, they're all part of our world. We have to integrate all these networks together. To have this idealistic social world of our future, what we have to make sure of is that open standards are agreed to by all these different vendors, and that we can all, the users, move our data around and have accounts in all these different networks. Okay, as long as that's happening, the brands and all the commercial interests can step in and make their money how they want to choose it. But us users, sure, we'll share our data with all these vendors, but we'll also keep that data for ourselves. So it's this commonality that we're looking for. Each vendor offers us their own implementation of these features, and we choose which ones to use. I might use Flickr over here and YouTube over there. I prefer the Twitter environment over here, but at the end of the day, it's all being aggregated together. I get to customize and control my environment, and that's what each vendor has to offer us. Now, where are we on this cycle? Indeed, Facebook's new timeline interface is yet another hyper jump forward of this revolutionary platform. We all love Facebook so much we don't even notice that we're wasting our time there. And now that we've got a completely new kind of profile page, which they call timelines, it's based upon the idea of seeing all the different things that you've put into your profile account. images, videos, and to see the kind of music we're listening to and the kind of videos we like to play, all tying into our preferences, all tying into our open social graph. It's an awesome new approach to the profile page, right on, state of the art. Now what Google Plus is going to do is take a totally different approach. They've got the same kind of activity stream, but what they've got is an architecture that can layer in different kinds of activities like the Hangouts and other services, so that's the equivalent to the app scene, but they also have integrated in with all these other Google functions like Maps and Search and YouTube, etc. And that little red box will appear up there in the corner. Now what that is going to create an identity layer effect. Okay, so there the identity becomes our account that we can move between different services. That's called having a federated ID approach. Okay, now that's completely different than what Facebook does. So it turns out that both Facebook and Google's approach to the profile page is what I call digital lifestyle aggregation. The idea is that we provide users with an integrated environment where you can bring in lots of different things, that in that environment you can aggregate content, people, or services, and then also it's a highly customizable environment. That's why the ability for timelines, for you to control and curate what happens on the page is so important. We couldn't do that before with Facebook. Meanwhile, this sets another litmus for Google that they have to attain this level of what I call digital lifestyle aggregation. Aggregated environment, lots of content, highly customizable, and an integrated environment. Google doesn't quite do that for us, so they're going to need a new kind of dashboard. One of the other essential things that should be part of all digital lifestyle aggregators is what's called knowledge bases. These are just collections of information that's persistent and it's always there, like a wiki. Now it's shared and created by the community, whether they're talking about information and facts and a movement and an issue, or whether they're persistent conversations that are building over time, whether they're just like a good history of what's happened in our group. Now I'm hoping that Facebook will apply that timeline concept to groups, so we can keep a history of the groups as well. But either way, we have to end up with online knowledge bases which are persistent, that are up in the cloud, and can be accessed at any time. Okay, so what I'm dreaming of is what I call a meta-networking environment, where one person can be a member of multiple networks. That can include both horizontal, kind of mainstream things like Google and Facebook, or lots and lots of kind of vertical networks. So I'm into chocolate, I'm into reggae, and that shouldn't be a problem, and I should be able to move my data around and have it in one kind of personal data store that I can share in different ways. I should be able to have a mega social graph and be able to separate my groups of people, whether you call them lists or circles, and manage those lists, and also have the same kind of groups membership, right? So I'm participating in all these types of groupings, and I control who I'm grouping with, and then all my data is controlled by me, and then I can move around and post into these different environments, right? Shared and aggregated all together. It's what I call meta-networking. Well, speaking of triangulating, I'd like to first go over all the topics that we've covered in our earlier video blog posts. We've gone over the history of social networking, local and global, the importance of jobs, the importance of doing action, and Google+. And now what we're going to do is move into a new area where we cover free markets, open standards, the importance of time and history and learning from the past, cooperation, collaboration, and finally inclusion, where we make sure that we're all sitting at the table together. Okay, so in closing, let's make sure that we're all sitting at the table together, that we can get the educators and the creative community working with the technical and community folks, and also the government and commercial interests. We all need to sit at the table together so that we can work on these problems and get action. Okay, so that's the post for today. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we need to connect the dots together. Everyone needs to be sitting at the table. You have to love what you're doing, got to be motivated, but also remember that you only have one life to live. You got to do it right. You got to live it like you got to live it. Thank you.